Let me leave the legal aspect to the lawyers to deal with. But that's what you call tax anticipated notes and grant anticipation loans notes. Simply this. So, for instance, I could go for a loan and say that there's some tax that I've attached to it. And so once the tax is paid, I will give you your money. I could also go for a loan. For instance, if a municipal assembly or a metro assembly wants to go for a loan, which they normally would term as municipal bonds, they can say, oh, they have some grants that comes yearly, as in common fund. So based on that, I can pay you this money because I expect these funds yearly. But for the tax, as long as we're paying the tax, there's money. And so you can understand Senyor's point. I mean, government cannot say I'm adding S-line and all of that to it, because these bonds are attached to the energy sector levies that we pay. And once we have energy sector levies accruing to the state, there is no way the state can say, I will not pay you, because you did your calculation, okay? So about the 30 billion that you're expecting, I'll check the figures again, that we're expecting in the year should be able to take care of one, our energy sector debts, and two, the bonds that we floated in that respect. So that's understood. The challenge is that a lot of people don't even know the bonds they purchased. So some people have purchased bonds, they get the bonds. They don't really know the bonds that they've purchased. And that's where the challenge starts from. And so it's important for the people to know. And the Dachi bond, for instance, is also from Get Fund. 2.5%. You will get the money. You did the projections and said, this is how much I'm going to get yearly from Get Fund. Okay? So if this is what I'm going to get yearly, then it means that I would be able to pay you, because these are the inflows. I would get them all the time. And once I get them, and that's why, see, you're looking at the time value of money and you're saying, well, how about I get that money now? Because if I were to wait for 5 years, the cost would go up.
Yeah.
And so let me borrow now and then spread it over the period. And you're saying, even if I add all the interest, it would not be the projected amount maybe 5 years or 10 years from now.
Right.
So having said that, that's the truth. I do not think that government will default in the payment of individual bonds.
Let me ask, what does the budget say? In the budget, has government said that we will spend this much paying ESLA bonds?
Well, I mean,
when we are expecting this much revenue and we will spend this much paying ESLA
the budget projects the payment of interest payments of 31 billion Ghana cedis domestically.
Right.
Okay, so the budget will tell you how much you're going to get from ESLA, but the budget also tells you the amount of money that you're paying, interest payments. So out of the 52 billion interest payments, 31 billion are domestic interest payments, and that's captured in the budget.
Okay.
And that's why the analysis have been made that Raymond, they say you don't have money, but you've made provisions for this. So what interest are you going to pay? I mean, what interest are you going to pay? After all, I mean, if you have treasury bills, when it's time, you can roll over. It's still debt, maturing debt anyway. But as you roll over, you're incurring more debts. But let me get to then the other point. So I don't think that government would default, particularly when it comes to individual bonds. This is what I see. The indirect coercion that Raymond talks about. So government has gotten, and I mean, they're creating fear. So you would see we have to suffer. So you probably would say, oh, if government says it's going to default, then why don't I settle for this? It's voluntary. It's voluntary. But then they're making it look like if you don't take it, well, we will default. And who wants to lose all his money? What the government hasn't done is this. When e-levy was so much of importance to government, they went around the whole country and solicited views.
That was also arguably after the fact. They had already announced it in the budget.
Oh, yes, they have. But at least after the fact, they went around the country. After the fact, are they going around the country? Don't just say we're going to deal with leaders of bondholders. Okay? You can also get an extended group of bondholders meeting government. So there will be series of engagements, not just one. Look, in the Argentina example, when they tried it wasn't working, they spent between 4 and 5 months engaging. Why are we just giving deadlines?